Hi guys, welcome to the panel discussion at the Coffee Conversation Show powered by the Emerging India Forum TEF and our technology partner Prime Infotech Solution. I am your co-host Jolly Singh with our host for the evening, Lion Amir Virani. Today's topic is Protect, Prevent and Empower Navigating the Digital Age. In today's hyper-connected world, the digital space offers endless opportunities, but it also comes with increasing risks, especially for women. From cyber crimes and online harassment to data privacy concerns, the need for awareness, protection, and legal recourse has been more than crucial ever. As part of our Women's Day special at the Coffee Conversation Show, we bring you a thought provoking fireside chat with leading cyber lawyers who are at the forefront of digital safety and legal advocacy. In this conversation, we'll explore the most pressing cyber threats facing women today, the legal frameworks available for protection, and the security measures every individual should know to stay safe online. So, join us as we discuss key strategies to protect, prevent, and empower women in the digital space because cybersecurity is not just a necessity, it's a right. So, a very warm welcome to our esteemed panelists. We are really grateful that you have taken your precious time out and being present at the DICE to have this discussion today.
So let me introduce our esteemed panelist. Our first panelist is N.S. Nappinai, Senior Advocate at the Supreme Court of India and founder of CyberSathi. With over 3 decades of experience spanning constitutional law, cybercrime, intellectual property, and policy making, Ma'am has been instrumental in shaping India's cyber law framework. Her initiatives through CyberSathi have empowered countless individuals with knowledge about cyber safety. So thank you, ma'am, for coming on this panel discussion, which will be uh, a part of Women's Day celebration at the Coffee Corner Show, because we have already have on Women Achievers also. And this full from today till 15th March, we are having Sri Shakti, where women will be coming on the show. There have been some achievement work. So you are laying the groundwork. So thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for having me here.
So our next panelist is Advocate Rajas Pingle, a renowned cyber law expert, AI and technology lawyer, and privacy and data protection specialist. With over 13 years of international experience, he has tackled complex cross-border challenges, advised Fortune 500 companies, and trained over 60,000 professionals, including law enforcement officers and corporate leaders. Wow. So welcome, Rajas, to today's panel discussion.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Wow. Our third panelist is Harsh Parekh, the founder and CEO of SecureZ, a company dedicated to enhancing cyber resilience for business globally. Ranked among the top 40 hackers in India on the HackerOne leaderboard in 2022, Harsh has not only made significant strides in the field of cybersecurity, but also established himself as a thought leader, mentor to many aspiring professionals. So welcome all three panelists to today's panel discussion at the Coffee Corner Show. As it is, I'll just start, then I'll hand over to Jolly to take it forward, and she will wind up, do the closing part. So whenever I'm asking questions, anyone can start, later on add. So this will add to the questions, conversations, and let's build it up.
May I
So my
make one suggestion?
yeah.
Please address it to each of the speakers.
Yes, I was just coming to that.
And
Correct.
each, and you
No,
can
ma'am. We want to keep it open.
No,
Our
after
format.
that we'll have a conversation. You address it.
Yes.
Let me. My questions are open-ended. What we are trying to be little different from other panel discussions. So that's we keep the question open, and the panelists themselves start coming and answering the questions. So we have kept it open like that. That will add more value to
Then
the
I
discussion.
will be deferring always to the youngsters first, and I will come in thereafter, unless I am addressed a question directly. Okay.
I'll try to.
I think what ma'am is saying is correct. If you could address the questions to each other, that would be more appropriate, to be very
We'll
honest.
try to do that because what is happening, your questions will be little, which one to address, which one to start with. Let me see how can it goes on, and
Okay.
we will try to adapt. But we have kept our panel discussion, and this is the fifth one in the format which we have built up and added. But we can do the variations. Don't worry.
Just can I add something?
Yeah, sure.
Ma'am should start answering the questions
No, no,
first.
it's okay.
Reason being, her
It's-
experience is more than us and
Yes,
add more value points than us. And then we can carry forward certain case studies along with it to,
correct.
as an
But we
add-on.
will jumble it up every time one person.
Yeah. So that's why I
That's
said,
what Mr. Virani is trying to say. So we'll
yeah.
figure it out.
So that's why
I feel
anyone,
it may be a
see,
little messy because virtually when we try to do this, sometimes 2 or 3 people start talking at the same time. So we'll
so
see.
don't worry, don't worry. Our panelists, ma'am, they know when to start. They stop. Other panelist enters into it and carries on the conversation. So don't
Luckily
worry.
for you, this is not like a TV debate. You have a very well-behaved panel.
Thank you. Okay. So my first question will be, what are the most prevalent types of cyber crimes targeting women today and how are they evolving? So Nappinai ma'am, you can start and then the other two male panelists can add for this question.
See, we always assume that only women would know about their own woes. Sometimes the men know it better. And it is also incorrect to assume that only men commit crimes against women. When it comes to online crimes, unfortunately, I've seen all kinds of variations, permutations, and combinations in the commission of crimes where you can rest assured that women take equality to a different level in terms of commission of crimes also. So the reason why I feel that today's discussion is warranted is, come what may, irrespective of whatever we may believe in terms of online platforms, women and children do indeed form part of the weaker or the softer targets, and crimes are committed a lot more against them. And on that aspect, I feel there cannot be any difference of opinion. How we deal with it and what kind of crimes are evolving against them and how many of those crimes are gender specific is something that we may want to evaluate. For instance, why I mentioned to begin with itself that crimes could be committed against anybody is, if you take the very basic form of offenses against women and children, it's cyberbullying or cyber stalking, and what colloquially is referred to as revenge porn, but which I prefer to talk about as sexploitation. So when you talk about these, the first thing that would come to mind is, why do these have to be gender specific? It is not. These are all gender neutral. But studies show that women have been larger targets of it. One of the crimes that, when I was doing my research for my first book in way back in 2015, what shocked me was this crime. At that time, it was recent, but now it's very old. What was happening at the time was of actual rape and gang rape videos being uploaded online. That was so shocking because I am a criminal lawyer first and then a cyber lawyer. My mind could not wrap itself around this possibility that a criminal will want to upload evidence of his crime. Why I'm mentioning this particular incident is, this is a classic incident of a gender specific crime. A rape is a gender specific crime under the Indian penal laws, and I'm not talking about IPC here. Today it is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. So under our penal laws, rape is gender specific, and when you have something like that uploaded, it violates the victim's rights at multiple fronts. So I'll stop with this and I'll leave it to my young panelists to add to it. But if we have to sit here today and list out all the crimes against women and children, I think we will finish the panel with just that list.
Thank you, ma'am. So who's coming next?
Just to add to what ma'am said, I think in today's day and age, it has become a lot easier for any perpetrator to create any image or any video of a woman because of the advent of AI. And we all know that deepfakes are very, very prevalent nowadays, and people are uploading, and so sophisticated. It has become so sophisticated now. Previously, we used to call it morphing, right? And people were to morph images of women and post it on any porn website or any obscene website. Nowadays, if you see, with the help of AI, and I had downloaded couple of uh, uh, AI image enhancers or specifically AI tools to for research purposes, and I was shocked. I was blown away. The quality of those AI tools, the way they reproduce images, the way they reproduce videos nowadays, it is so real. You won't be able to make out, and that has become so scary nowadays, because if you post such a video nowadays, that damage is already done. Unless, I mean, you subsequently will file a police complaint, the video will be taken down as per the intermediary guidelines, but the damage will be done. People will start reacting to that video before even coming to a conclusion whether that video is real or not. I think that the famous actress whose video was deepfaked, and the same happened with her also. So I think that is the scariest part in today's day and age, affecting women the most.
Harsh.
Yeah. Rajas sir specifically focused on AI generated content, and absolutely, I also wanted to speak about it. But Rajas sir covered a lot about AI generated content. It is a problem, and yes, there have been a lot of models now that have been released by different people who can generate morphed images of women. In fact, there have been models where you don't even have to give it an image of a specific person now to generate, because it directly grabs the image from the internet, from the social profile. So it's kind of a very big problem, and these models are not monitored, they are not censored on the internet right now, they're freely available completely. One of the bigger problem why this crime is increasing at such a pace is, I believe, the social engineering plays a very important role behind morphing a person's images or doing anything wrong, doing committing a crime online. And the more the person is exposed on the internet, the more details about a person are available on the internet, he is easily socially engineered. So that's where the crime actually starts. If you want to attack someone, attackers, what they do, hackers, what they do is they start social engineering the person. They start to gather information about the person, and they would create a list. Okay, these are the specific people who are very close to this particular entity, and then they would start targeting one by one everyone. So social engineering is the key to this, followed by AI generated content, and then I think the entire cyber kill chain starts.
I just wanted to come in with a couple of observations. The first is Rajas mentioned about downloading for testing some of these AI tools. I came across an advertisement for an AI tool, and the first thought as a cybercrime lawyer that came to my mind is how easily this can be misused. So now you take selfies with people. So technically, your faces may be close to each other in a selfie, right? You don't really sit and measure how far away you are. Now, this AI tool says that a couple have taken a selfie with their faces looking in front, and the tool can convert it as if they are kissing each other. So imagine if an AI imagery is created like that and circulated, and then you are left protecting your reputation. So defamation online becomes like, defaming your name, your reputation, your stature, your position becomes an underlying issue with many variations in terms of all the crimes that we have discussed till now. And the other aspect I wanted to mention based on your introduction of Harsh was, it's very interesting that you speak about the hackers forum, etc. I really would love to get your response on my second book. I've called this story A Nerve Hacking Tale, and I talk about the hackers forum, and you're a classic example of how hacking can be converted into a profession. And that's why I just wanted to clarify based on the introduction that hacking is permissible only when it's ethical hacking, and ethical hacking means that you do it with the permission of the owner of a resource. If you do it without their permission, even if you think you're doing it for somebody's good, it is an offense. So, look at Harsh as your idol, as your ideal, and see how you can, move your abilities for doing public good rather than public harm.
It's my privilege, man. Thank you so much.
Definitely, we'll come over, me and Harsh, and do that part. So let's continue a panel discussion. How do cyber criminals typically exploit vulnerabilities in online platforms, and how can women protect themselves? So Harsh can start, then others can add into the discussions.
Now, there are a couple of vulnerabilities that hackers try to exploit. Once again, we can get gender neutral over here, but
Yeah.
specifically talking about women, we can also focus on AI generated content specifically for this podcast. Some of the vulnerabilities that hackers usually target, and nowadays, which is booming everywhere. Number one is phishing and OTP related attacks, where women are targeted specifically from tier two or lower cities or villages, where they try to get the OTP of the person and steal money. This is one of the case. Second, very severe is cyber stalking, where a lot of women profiles are stalked. Followed by that, fake profiles are created on the internet, where obscene images are shared about the person or wrong content is being shared about the person. People create fake accounts in the name of a woman, in the name of a girl, and they start talking with the people. This is again a case that is widespread everywhere. And followed by that is AI generated obscene content, which one can use to harm a specific person. Typically, when I see the cyber kill chain against a person, these are some of the most harmful cyber attacks that are being widespreaded. Number one being financial fraud, and followed by obscene content about a specific person.
Wow. Who's coming next?
So I think for one of the most uh, important uh, vulnerability uh, as such, when we talk about how the women are being targeted specifically, is I think the human itself. So as Harsh correctly said, that social engineering plays a very important role for any sort of an attack. And when we talk about the women being targeted online, I think first of all, what content are we posting online? That is important. Then with whom we are interacting with online, that also becomes very important. But because if we stay vigilant, I think most of these attacks can be dealt with. Uh, what happens normally is we are on autopilot, and that's why we keep on sharing information, or we start talking with someone and then subsequently share our information. So I think that becomes a gateway for that perpetrator to exploit uh, the vulnerability that is us as human beings. I think we should look at that point very carefully.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely
Ma'am.
well said. And, if I were to add to what has already been shared, now this is both a good and a bad thing, which is, and whenever I say it, I face a lot of resistance from the audience. But thereafter, many have come and told me either that I was right or thanked me for it. Because, one, when online spaces happened, we got access to it. Women unfortunately thought they were much safer on online spaces than they are in the real space. They assume that you won't go into the dark alley which is not having a light, no people around, so you don't know what is lurking in there. That's built into our DNA now, so we would automatically shy away from those dark alleys, but we are not yet programmed for the dark alleys online. So we assumed that everything was safe. Our behavior changed. Suler calls it disinhibition. Okay. And that's how women thought they could explore further beyond the boundaries which were put in the physical world. And he then calls it toxic disinhibition. What does he call toxic disinhibition? That the same disinhibition that users have is what applies to the criminals also. So the criminals also let go in terms of the general inhibition they have when they are having one-on-one conversation. So when I am meeting you face to face, if I will not say something to your face, I would not hesitate to say it online because I am not speaking to a human face, I am speaking to a screen. And I assume, therefore, anything goes. So he calls it toxic disinhibition. I have called it disassociation, which is like, Lady Macbeth's soliloquy. You commit a murder is committed, but you think you had nothing to do with it, though you were the abettor of the murder. So similar to that. So the advice which I told you most people may not like to hear is this: be it men or women, do not do online what you would hesitate to do on a in person. One to one, if you would not be comfortable saying something to somebody, doing something which you're doing on a screen, then it is wrong. There is obviously something that's stopping you or making you hesitate. So follow your instinct on that. The second thing is, do not assume that you're speaking to a screen. Often people make this mistake that they are recording something from the privacy of their home or their bedroom. They forget that there is a human on the other side of the screen. So remember that early 90s New York Times cartoon which says it could be a dog on the computer for all you know, right? Or on the internet. So you don't know who's on the other side of the screen. And Harsh mentioned a very critical aspect in terms of social engineering. Just to give it a human face to that construct, what it really means is you may think you're speaking to another woman. You may think you're speaking to your peer. If you're a teenager, you may think you're speaking to a teenager. But the other person on the other side may be a male, maybe a pedophile. It could be anybody. It could be a predator. So don't think you are safe because you're at home, because you are putting yourself out there into the world. So be cautious. It's unfortunate but real that whether it's physical or online, we have to exercise the same level of caution and be wary all the time. It is very tiring, I agree, but it is essential.
Beautiful, ma'am. So now let's go to the next question. Can you provide insights into the legal consequences for perpetrators of cyber crimes, particularly in cases victims affected men or women? So we can start with Rajas.
Okay, so cyber crimes in general are covered under Information Technology Act. I think the only amendment we had was in 2008. The law came back in the year 2000, and since the last 24 years, we had the same law, but we know that the technology has moved past very, very quickly, and it is evolving, I think, daily. So what we need now is, first of all, my strict belief is we require either strict amendments to Information Technology Act to cover more offenses. Like right now, the offenses which are covered maybe unauthorized access, stealing of information, putting viruses into someone else's system, sharing or transmitting obscene content like that Ranveer Alavadia's case, or sharing sexually explicit content, or source code theft, or data theft, or it can be cyber terrorism. So all those aspects are already covered under Information Technology Act. But what we require now, from an AI perspective, the law should evolve. Either we should get some sort of rules or a new law altogether in the form of Digital India Act, which will cover the AI uh, crimes which are committed with the use of AI. I think that would be more appropriate and stringent. Uh, that's what my belief is. I mean, that is what required in today's day and age.
So, ma'am, you are expert.
Yes, there is a lot that I can share, but I'll try to keep
Yeah.
it brief.
Yeah.
First thing is, we should not assume that the Information Technology Act is the only source for cyber crimes. It is a source. It gives you a list of offenses under which you can pursue your remedies, but you can also go under the general laws where nothing is provided under the IT Act. And that is today the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Interestingly, some offenses which are impacted by the cyber domain have been included in the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Critically, today everybody is facing financial frauds, and we know that ultimately the victims are suffering because, one, there is a trust deficit with the legal systems, and two, they don't believe they're going to get recourse, and three, they may not really know how to go about it too. So today you have them being treated as organized crime, and in case a syndicate is broken and monies are recovered, victims who are part of that syndicate's targets may actually get recourse, directly or indirectly. Why I'm saying directly or indirectly is whether they have pursued their remedies or not. But we are focusing today on women and children. So here are my inputs to you, because you will recollect that I spoke about one case of actual rape and gang rape videos being uploaded online. That was taken cognizance of by the Supreme Court in Prajwala letter dated 18/2/2015. Violent videos and recommendations, a very long citation. Sorry, that's the way it reads. Now, I was amicus curiae in that matter, and I always say, often in our career, there are these cases where you have contributed a fair bit, and it makes you happy for your choice of becoming a lawyer. Not that I had any doubts in my 34 years of practice, but nevertheless, that case was converted into a suo motu criminal writ petition by the Supreme Court based on a letter from this non-profit called Prajwala. Thereafter, the scope was expanded to include offences against children also. Now, the outcome from this case provides a lot of recourse to women. The first and foremost aspect is cybercrime.gov.in. Please note this website. It will help you a lot because you can sit at home and file your complaints. It is a very easy methodology for filing complaints. There are certain aspects which are a little confusing. If you find it difficult, then please just call 1930 and the police will help you in filling up this form also, and then the complaint gets taken forward. This came out as a direct outcome from Prajwala case. Initially, the website was only for women and children. Thereafter, it was expanded for all cyber crimes. Now, after this, I can't give you a full lecture on all the remedies, so I'll keep it to a few important aspects. After this, the intermediary guidelines of 2021 came, which drew extensively from the Prajwala orders. So today, you have a grievance officer for each platform. So if your content is being violated, your rights are being violated on a platform, you can first approach the grievance officer. If it pertains to nudity, they have to remove the content within 24 hours. If it's anything else, they have time from 72 hours to 15 days. But you have a speedy and cost-effective remedy, meaning there is no cost involved. And this is what the intermediary guidelines did. If the grievance officer doesn't act, instead of running to court or to police, you still have one more remedy, which is before the grievance redressal committee. It's like an appellate authority with the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, or MeitY for short. So you can take that recourse. Again, it is no cost. It is only if even there you're not able to get your remedies, you need to approach a court or police. Of course, all these remedies do not bar you from going to court. And one final word of caution, not just for victims, but for practitioners also. Don't get misled by the heading of a section. It is irrelevant. It is only the provision that matters, and there are enough and more provisions to deal with these evolving kind of crimes, including artificial intelligence, because we have spoken a lot about it. One more aspect that came out of the Prajwala case is in the intermediary guidelines, there is already an inclusion which talks of the platforms having to remove even morphed or actual violation against women or even morphed content, etc. Today, you have multiple remedies, not just for revenge porn or people who record things to, by consent, and thereafter one of the partners violates it and threatens to or actually circulates it online. That's blackmail. It is an offense, so you can go under Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. So there are many remedies for each of these offenses. Artificial intelligence resorts to fabricated computer imagery. So you can go under, again, forgery under Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita to seek your remedies. I'm unfortunately unable to give you a full list, but for a broader list, please do read Sassy Tales, my second book. I'm not trying to promote the book, but the book was written for the benefit of users and their protection, so that they don't feel like they don't have remedies. Don't get scared and don't blame yourself. Anything can happen to anybody, but take recourse of law.
Beautiful, ma'am. So in the end, also, I'll be coming to you, and any viewers out there, they want to buy this book, I'll just appeal to you to create a special pricing. So because this is Women's Day and you showed me your book, I also want to come and meet and buy that book, get it autographed, because I also want to learn so many things. You are a treasure, and other speakers also in their domains experts. So I'm coming to my next question, ma'am. Hold your horses, because your pet organization, I have questions for that.
Okay.
So Harsh, what are your thoughts?
So absolutely, ma'am and sir, they both explained very well about all the legal steps that one can take. I would like to include so people, they know about that we can go and file a complaint at a cybercrime cell, or another tool that ma'am mentioned, we can go on cybercrime.gov.in and we can also file a complaint there. But there is also one more tool where you can report any AI generated content and get it removed from the internet in a very less amount of time. I guess it's 72 hours. And the website is stopncii.org, which started around one and a half year, around 2 years ago, I guess. And if you report any images there, if let's say you're a victim of a AI generated content, if someone has shared your nude images or your videos online and you feel unsafe, you can always report the content there on the website, and your content will be removed from the internet in very less amount of time. So this is also one initiative started, and I think more and more people should be aware of this website now, since we are seeing so much of AI generated content being forwarded all over the social media.
Wow. So I'll connect with all three. Please share whatever list, this website where victims can report and get remedial justice. So we'll put in our captions. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Rajesh and Harsh. So my next question, which I'm clubbing together. So, ma'am, that Cyber Sati is there. So let me complete that question. But I'm adding one more question where the conversation will continue from other panelists. So, ma'am, having a cyber friend in the family as part of learning programs and other initiatives of Cyber Sati, can you please elaborate on this? This is my first one. What key practices can women adopt to safeguard themselves other cyber threats? So you have a lot to say, ma'am, and then others.
Yeah, but I will
Focus on Cyber Sati, which is I'm also very this organization very close. I'll meet and we will do some programs through my Lions Club. Don't worry, ma'am.
I'm grateful, sir. And thank you so much for this question, because Cyber Sati was actually a labor of love and passion. And it came out of a meeting where there were discussions about child sexual abuse material and the level to which it's being propagated. And the reason for the name, as you have rightly said, cyber friend. So the way, I'm a criminal lawyer first, as I already mentioned. So the way I was thinking is, be it in terms of early days practice till date, I have never come across a victim who would immediately go and inform a family member, an adult in their within the family circle, an authority figure about a problem they are facing. And Cybersati approaches it from both sides, because one of the critical aspects that Cybersati has noted is that a lot of offenses are committed by children, probably against children, and by children against adults also, right? And by children, many crimes are committed which could otherwise seem like only an adult could commit, right? Very serious hacking incidents, etc. So the whole idea of cybersati is, if you need to speak about a problem, you will only approach a friend, and that friend has to be, they don't have to be an expert, they have to be a good first responder who will be able to help and give proper advice and guidance, which will then take this victim to the adults in the family or to an authority figure. Many times I've seen only when a victim has acted in this manner, they have actually found remedies. We spoke about financial frauds. After a victim thought of a financial fraud as a personal stigma, and he did not take it further, and then he speaks to the lady in the house and she says, no, it's not like you did something wrong, take it further, and we gave a complaint. We were actually able to apprehend the perpetrator, the criminal, because in that instance it was a lady committing the crime. We were able to actually catch her and probably the ring, because within a few hours of the complaint being given, the lady called again for more money, and that greed is what caught her. So why I'm mentioning this is, many of the victims feel that it is their fault. They should stop thinking that and understand that anybody can make mistakes. So cyber sati was actually meant to just be that resource, which is something that people can rely on, where they can safely go and find information without a mess of ads. Or there is cybersati, the website is absolutely clean of anything else except content, and the whole idea is, at least it will give you guidance as a first level to see what next should you do. And the whole idea of cybersati when we started was, and we reached out from school to college level, is, each person should be a cybersati. When you're doing this podcast, sir, you are a cybersati, because you're helping people understand the vulnerabilities in cyber domain and to stay safe. So that's the real vision of cybersati. And the way I envisioned it is, you spread the word to 5 people, that's technically 25 people at the next level, 250 people at the next, and it goes on that way. So in a way, a paid forward process. And I really hope it gains more traction. I'm really thankful to every single person who has contributed to the cause of cybersati, and it has a long road ahead. I'll leave the rest of the answer to the others. But in terms of women and staying protected, I think I've already mentioned that you just have to be cautious all the time. It can be very tiring, it is fatigue inducing, and it does limit your options, but there is no other alternative. But if you dare to move forward, don't feel restricted. Move ahead, be adventurous by all means, but always exercise that caution in terms of what if, and if what if happens, what is the remedy that I can seek. I'll give a simple example. If people want to indulge in adventure in terms of recording private moments, why is it that they don't realize that it can be used as a weapon against them later? It could be male or female, but female women invariably are the weaker targets there. So if you're breaking up, then make sure that your personal content is protected, deleted, or dealt with in a manner where you know you're safe. Don't act emotionally in those circumstances, and forget to protect your rights. Every single time, if some violation happens, if you succumb to blackmail, you're not going to really help yourself. You will just land yourself in more trouble. So take help from authority figures and take remedial action, which will be permanent remedies and not just temporary. I will pause here on this.
Cool. Rajas.
I think just to add to what ma'am said, I think not recording would be the best thing that you can do. But if at all, I mean, people still do, right? And
Yes.
subsequently, those videos or photos are being misused. And I think one more instance that comes to my mind is family of a girl had approached me, and uh, she actually went to visit her dentist. And in the clinic of that dentist, in the washroom, so there was a hidden camera, be, and that hidden camera was recording everything. So fortunately, the girl noticed the camera and went on to confront the staff and the dentist. Subsequently, she called her family. The family was involved. When they actually saw the laptop of the dentist, they were shocked to see that there were 60 to 70 folders being created, and the photos and videos were stored on those folders. Now, why something like Cyber Sathi can help people? I think in these types of cases, normally women, they hesitate a little bit to go forward and file a complaint or to register an FIR. The same thing also happened here, and they approached me asking what to do. I think ma'am has said correctly that some of these resources can help them to at least take a first step and to be informed about what to do if something of this sort happens, because it can happen with anyone, regardless of the gender of that person. But as ma'am correctly said, that it happens with women more because uh, they are considered as the weaker section of society. But I mean, but definitely something like Cyber Sati can help many women or men, regardless.
Okay. Harsh.
Ma'am and sir, they absolutely covered a lot of different topics where we should be focusing on, and absolutely, ma'am said it very correctly. The problem right now that we are facing is, even though a very even though the people are a victim of cyber crimes, it can be a financial fraud, or it can be a fraud related to social engineering, or your morphed images are posted online. It could be anything. um, People are scared to go and register a complaint sometimes because they don't want कि मेरे बारे में कुछ गलत बातें हो कहीं पे, या फिर किसी को पता चले, or what my family would think, what my friends would think. But they forget that the family and the friends are the first who would get access to those things, and then they would start questioning the same, right? So we need someone who can give us the power and the energy to take the right decision. Number one and the most important thing in life is to have the right knowledge, and when you have the right knowledge, you will take the right step. So first thing, irrespective of it being a man or a woman, everyone should have the right knowledge of, if I'm a victim of a cyber crime, where should I go and register the complaint? If it's a financial fraud, where should I go? If someone is posting my images online, or if someone is trying to harass me, where should I go and register a complaint? Is the first and immediate thing that one should be aware of. Followed by that, we should have someone with us from a family, from a friend, or from an organization like Cybersati who can help us to register a complaint and make us feel safe. And third thing, we should be careful ourselves online rather than being ignorant of what we do, because sometimes our carelessness can also be a weapon against us, as we are discussing in this podcast from the beginning. So everyone should be careful on the internet, and that's my take on this.
Wow. So,
Just a small thing to add, uh, if I may. Like we talked about the intermediary guidelines, and I think as far as the content being obscene in nature, the intermediary guidelines said that you have to get it removed immediately if you get in touch with the grievance officer. The grievance officer of a particular intermediary should act immediately to get the content down. But what happens more often than ever, that these websites are hosted outside the purview of Indian law. So wherever the content is being hosted outside, it becomes a challenge to the law enforcement agencies also uh, to get it removed. I've seen in many cases. I mean, to give you an example, there's so many websites which allow you to host such content for it to be not removed ever. So these kind of websites do exist. So it is always better to not record anything which can land you in trouble later on, or not post anything which can land you in trouble later on. I think that precaution is needed.
Wow. So beautiful going on our discussion. I'll now call Jolly to take the discussion further.
Thank you so much, sir. So moving towards the next question, what role do privacy laws like GDPR play in preventing cyber crimes, and how can they be more effectively enforced in the context of women's digital right? Ma'am, you can start, and then I think others can join.
Sure. So you just decided to put me in the hot spot, huh, for a difficult question.
Absolutely not, ma'am.
See, the thing is, when you look at the DPDP Act, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, which has been passed but are not yet implemented, you will find that there are no criminal provisions there. So, on the face of it, anybody may think that the DPDP Act has nothing to do with cyber crimes, and they would be very wrong. So, thank you so much for this question, because it pinpoints the most crucial aspect of a cybercrime, which is your personal data. So once a criminal acquires your personal data, that is when the ammunition is there for him to then take it forward. And when I say him or her, I'm being gender neutral, okay? It's he equals she here. It could be anybody, as I've already said. So where a DPDP Act really comes into play is in terms of protecting how and in what manner your personal data can be used, what happens in the event of a breach, because your data breach is the first level to multiple levels of cybercrimes thereafter, not just against individuals but against corporates also. I'll give you two examples here. The Sony hack, because Sony was going to come out with a movie which a particular region was not happy with, they hacked into the systems and then threatened that they will expose all the financial data and other data which is business sensitive of Sony, and also all their intellectual property rights in their various movies and whatever, if they do not desist from releasing this movie called The Interview, if I'm not mistaken. Sony went ahead and released it online, and the criminals also went ahead and released some of this data in public domain. So when I say that personal data protection laws are critical, we may assume it deals only with individuals, but not quite so. It can have economic impact also for companies which are dealing, who are data fiduciaries or data processors. The second layer example is a little bit more quirky. Ashley Madison was a site which gave married persons an option to have affairs, etc. We've been talking about how you're better safer than sorry, right? Ashley Madison was a classic case which resulted in a lot of divorce petitions once the information, the platform was hacked and information was leaked. So therefore the data breach is the first gateway to all your personal data, and to then using that personal data for commission of various kinds of crimes. So this is the criticality which a DPDP Act is also expected to protect. It has multiple reasons. If you look at the objects and reasons, cybercrime protection will not be listed there at all. It will be predominantly in terms of protection of your privacy and enabling the businesses which are into data analytics, etc. But it becomes just inherently part of that law in terms of protecting your personal data, how it can actually be the first gatekeeper against commission of cyber crimes against you.
Rajas, if you want to add something to it.
I think ma'am has correctly said in this specific scenario, purpose limitation would come in handy. Uh, Think how your personal information is being collected and how it is being used. So now, since that will be governed properly vis-a-vis Digital Personal Data Protection Act, I think you initially spoke about GDPR. DPDP is the law that is applicable here, would be applicable here in India for as long as India as a region is concerned. But yeah, I mean purpose limitation. how the data is being collected and how it will be used, so that subsequently, even if a breach happens, okay, that use of data or the collection of data was already limited. Okay, it wasn't being circulated everywhere like it is being circulated right now. Even if I click on a link by mistake and that link grabs my data, that is being circulated everywhere nowadays. So I think it will minimize that to an extent. Plus, if we are circulating our own personal information to a company or a data fiduciary here, I think that data fiduciary will be under strict obligations to protect the data, to secure the data properly in accordance with the act, and so as to not sell the data or not share the data with the unauthorized users or the companies who market or use the data to basically advertise or for their own gain. So that would be limited, and so the subsequent unauthorized use or the cyber crimes which might have taken place with the use of that data, I think that could be avoided.
Harsh, so
Yeah. Absolutely. First of all, DPDP Act is a very big step by the Indian government to add. And second thing, with the enforcement of DPDP Act, we are going to face a revolutionary challenge and a change in how data is managed over in India. So, as Rajat sir mentioned previously, if there could be any kind of data related to me, and that data could have been shared between different data brokers across the country or across the border as well, or my data can also be misused by certain marketing firms or data brokers against me. Now, these are the kind of attacks and exploits which are completely blind spot for us, will be regulated, because if XYZ, any organization wants to have access to my data, they would have to first take permission from me, and after that they can use my data for any purpose. Even that purpose would be transparent to me through the privacy policies on the website. Second most important point of data privacy of the DPDP Act is the consent, and I would have to give my consent. I can easily withdraw my consent, so that part will be very streamlined for everyone. One very important thing that I want to mention over here is DPDP Act is comparatively new to India and the people of India, and there should be a greater awareness among the people that how can you easily withdraw your consent from the organization, and what are the legal consequences if the organization still uses your data or misuses your data. As a register mentioned about the withdraw, that you can easily withdraw the consent, and that is also going to directly impact the data breach part. Once an attacker has access to your data, he can easily exploit it. He can easily chain the entire data from the internet. For example, if one of the organization leaked your, let's say, mobile number, and then another organization leaked your name, and the third organization leaked your bank account number, I can club these three, and I can create an exploit to send you an OTP to create to for any transaction. Or I can also, if let's say one of the organization leaked your Aadhaar card data, it is comparatively easy to print a fake Aadhaar card nowadays, right? So these are the kind of exploits which are very much harmful, which we don't see in the public, but they are happening they are happening at in various parts of our country, and all these things would come to a bigger halt. And definitely, it's going to positively impact the data privacy part in India, and it's going to play a very big role. Coming down to the attacks specifically related to women and men as well, if less amount of data is captured by the company, less amount of data will be breached, and the overall impact would drop. So this is one of the most major impact that it's going to bring. And secondly, about regulation part, once you have the control over something, you can always bring down the impact. So that's the whole point of DPDP Act that is coming in. And one very major important point, which I think companies would be very afraid of, is the fine amounts uh, that are proposed in the DPDP Act. It goes up to 250 crores. If let's say there is a big attack, and you were completely not complied with the DPDP Act, if some wrong points, if there are some negative points in the compliance which you failed to achieve, then you can be a part of the 250 crores fine. And that I think would be very much that companies would be very afraid of right now to be a part of. So that is obviously going to bring a very positive impact on the data privacy rules over here in India.
Absolutely. And taking the discussion ahead to what Harsh sir and Rajas sir just added, and what ma'am also added about how the data is being collected and being misused and everything, and also corporates and companies only collecting the data and not misusing it. So, how can companies, especially in the legal and tech sectors, collaborate to create safer online environments for women? Harsh sir, I think you can continue with your answer, I think, to this question, and then Rajas sir and ma'am can contribute to it.
Okay. So organizations definitely they should internally host different awareness programs first of all, and they should make sure the HRs and all the policies, everyone should make sure that none of our internal people are being harassed, and through awareness sessions, by making a culture that is fit for everyone and everyone can speak openly, they should make sure that people are comfortable in the organization. That is first of all. Second thing, they should spread awareness among the people, among the corporates. Nowadays we are seeing a lot of teenagers are joining corporate, and a lot of content is also being published online related to uh, the specific genre. So corporates, they can spread awareness around how how AI can be misused or how AI can be used, and they should also specifically spread awareness around what are the different models available online. See, what I think is, nowadays in corporate training, what happens is people just try to scare, whatever the third party trainers comes in or anyone who comes in, they try to scare, or they convey the message in such a way related to cyber crimes that the other person might be a little scared, and that's where we see people talking about, don't give OTP to someone, or don't do this or don't do that, don't install this application. So there is एक खौफ का माहौल जैसा सीन हो जाता है थोड़ा सा, and that's where I think the corporates, they can always spread awareness among the people in a more smoother and better way, in a more way that everyone understands. Even the aged people among us in the corporate, they can understand it correctly, and among the teenagers, we are already smart and we understand the attacks that are happening. That's my take on how corporates can bring in a positive impact in cybersecurity.
Sure. So,
Yes, could you please repeat the question?
yes. So my question was that how can companies, especially in the legal and tech sectors, collaborate to create safer online environments for women?
Safer online environments, right?
Yes.
So, if I think in terms of data protection and privacy, if these companies if they incorporate privacy by design while launching any platform whatsoever, or while launching any tech, that would, as I said, minimize the impact by collecting only the information which is required for the purpose, right? I think that is the very important thing, and vis-a-vis DPDP Act, that the organizations can do. Subsequently, as I think the other panelists also said correctly, that you need to make the employees aware, vis-a-vis training the employees in terms of new law, in terms of new regulation, and how to address these regulations properly or address the law properly by adhering to it. So I think that is the second most important step that the organizations can take while protecting. I mean, if you only keep whatever information which is required, I think, like we said earlier also, even if a breach to happen, only that information is going to get breached, not the entire data set. So I think that is the most important key here.
Absolutely, sir. Ma'am, you can summarize the whatever the our other esteemed panelists have just mentioned in their answer, and also add to your insights into this point.
I'll do the latter first. I'll add and then we'll see about the summary.
Definitely, ma'am.
See, legal and tech is a very potent combination and they can do wonders. But ultimately, law has to be effective by example. It has to show that it is working. So if you think that the DPDP Act only is bringing data protection laws to India, it would be very wrong. We had minimalist laws, but we had laws nevertheless. And we had various processes for enforcing our rights. You had Section 46A added in the 2008 Amendments in IT Act, which gave us the data protection and for personal data and sensitive personal data, and you had a very elaborate rules framed there under, which said ABCD, including consent, purpose, use, retention, dissemination, transfer, etc. Everything was covered in that. We call those the data principles. And you also had this protective measure under Section 46, which said that in case of a data breach, you can go before the adjudicating officer and seek remedies. Till date, no victim has gone forward for this kind of a situation. Invariably, most of the cases that went before the adjudicating officer were bank frauds in which a data breach or a data violation may have been pleaded, but it was not the primary purpose of the prosecution before the adjudicating officer. So the point I wanted to make first is how many ever laws we have can be effective only if they are implemented. So when you talk about it from the perspective of the companies, Harsh made a very critical point earlier about the fines that can come about if you violate the provisions of the DPDP Act. Now that is the first level. I told you it's a gatekeeper of sorts. That's the first level where the gatekeeping happens, where companies have to know that if they say, Dekha jaye, we will follow that, we will seek forgiveness rather than permission concept, then they will face the consequences. They may have to face fines, and that's where my point comes in, that law has to work effectively to show by example that these fines will be imposed. They're not going to get away with this kind of conduct. That's critical. So that's where a legal and tech collaboration can ensure that legal tells tech that if you don't comply, you're going to face these consequences. And the legal systems have to come in thereafter to show that if the collaboration fails and rights are violated, they will face the consequences. From a user's side, you have to be careful what you're downloading, where you're downloading it from, and what is the purpose of an app. For us, we think for anything and everything we need an app. You know that the loan scams happen, the loan app scams, where they were taking access to your personal data, your videos, your photographs, your personal conversations, etc., and then using the same to threaten you. That happened because an app is being downloaded without realizing what are the kind of consents or what are the kind of permissions you're granting. So be very careful what you download. I always say, people say the opposite of privacy is surveillance, or the enemy of privacy is surveillance. I always say convenience is the enemy of privacy. Because for the sake of convenience, we'll give up all our rights, right? So we have to be careful. Again, I repeat that yes, it may be very difficult to be careful all the time, but just evaluate, do I really need this? If it's a one-time user, use a browser. Why do you need the app, right? And if you're downloading the app, check what are the permissions you're giving and use the mobile devices opportunity to block consents where it is not needed for an app. I am so paranoid that when I use WhatsApp, I still block microphone, camera, everything. So only when I have to do a voice call, I have to go to settings, switch on the microphone and then take a voice call or a video call rather, right? So that's how we can take cybersecurity to levels, but it may not be possible always. So, but at least stay safe where you know safety is warranted.
Definitely, ma'am. And also, like in the present world where tech is something which is very dynamic in nature, every second a new feature or a new tech is introduced, and it is going to be continued every day in the coming years. It's not something which is going to stop, and we have to like look out for measures and safeguards, and also like be the updated version of ourselves. So ma'am, next
Just to
question.
sorry to cut you there.
Yes
Just
sir,
to add to
please.
what ma'am said, I think one specific aspect I completely agree with ma'am is the implementation is so poor here in India as far as Section 46 is concerned. For so many years, I am only talking about the scenario in Maharashtra. I don't know what is happening with other states, but if you see the mechanism of adjudicating officer, and I think back in 2011 we got the reasonable security practices and procedures. Firstly, how many companies in India were aware about reasonable security practices and procedures? Companies who were storing, processing the sensitive personal information, whether they were in compliance with the reasonable security practices and procedures, Rule 8, to be specific, that is to be seen. Plus, this mechanism for adjudicating officer was so poor, it was non-existent for a period of time. And it is still not functioning efficiently here in Maharashtra because it's been so many years. I think if a person had filed a complaint before the adjudicating officer back in 2019, back in 2018, that case is still not up for hearing. So, as per the adjudicating officer's rule, also the matter is to be finished within 4 months, maximum 6 months. But still, it defeats the purpose of having a law in place, having rules in place. So I think that is also a problem. I completely agree with you, ma'am, there.
True. And I can tell you it only gets worse in other states. It's
Oh my
bad
God.
here. It may be bad in other places and worse in certain others.
Oh my God.
Okay. Yes, a very valuable point that was added just by Rajas sir. So for the next question, ma'am, how can women become more engaged in advocating for stronger digital rights and security measures, since it's International Women's Day on 8th of March, and we are discussing about the women's security particularly. We are being gender neutral in our discussion, but also taking women's safety and secure cyber security very on much priority. So what is your input on that?
If you would permit, I would love to hear the men first on this because
The,
we need to know where both perspectives come in terms of digital rights of women, particularly.
absolutely. Rajas sir, would you like to start?
Stronger digital rights and security measures.
Yes.
Uh, I
Women's
think,
contribution majorly, sir. Like it is a gender neutral thing. Everybody should, but how can women very much actively participate to it, to the whole
I think
initiative?
ma'am would be in a best position to answer this question.
One moment, one moment. Ma'am has will be adding the value apna inputs, but she has requested ki first me, you, Harsh, and then she will give whole view about because through a cyber sati she is doing a lot of work, but she wants to know what are we thinking because this panel discussion is more for the Women's Day celebration which we are doing at CoffeeCon.
Or
That's why
how other women are contributing to it. Are
men
you
our inputs.
Uh,
I think there are so many women who are doing their bit. And if you ask me one, but I know a friend from that perspective, I can definitely tell. There's Advocate Puneet Bhasin in Mumbai. I think she has been advocating for women's rights or digital rights for that matter. She has done a wonderful work in Mumbai and in other parts of India also. From that perspective, I think. There are so many women in tech world and in legal world also. They are doing their bit.
Absolutely, sir. So the main point of discussion here was like how we as women, from your point of view, we can add more to it. Like,
May I just
yes,
rephrase it? I think Rajas missed
Yes.
that part. When I
Okay.
started the question off to you two, or you three, I would say, I said I would like to hear the men's perspective on how they believe digital rights of women can be strengthened. It wasn't about women in digital sector. That is a different topic.
Okay. Okay. I got. So in terms of law or in terms of regulation, that's
Whichever
what. you-
whichever way you think digital rights of women can be strengthened from a male perspective.
Okay. So from ma'am, I think I won't be in a position to answer this question, to be very honest.
Well, I'm waiting for the other two men on the panel to answer.
Harsh,
definitely.
Think
you want to go ahead because I am not.
This is a very, I think, probably a question where we can add a lot of different points. But I think more and more women should, first of all, come forward and be they should be aware of the rules and regulations first thing. If as we are talking about this from a very long time, we are getting new IT acts in India, and they should be aware of it. They should not feel scared, and to add, and they already have a lot of good rights in place, but somewhere I think the system is lagging a bit. This is because more and more people are not aware at one point, so everything correlates in a place, and that's where people get scared as well. Like, how can we file a complaint in such a way that it should not impact us, or we don't have to, like, the procedure and everything people are not aware of. So that's where awareness should be first of all spreaded. More and more women, girls, aged people, they should join local organizations related to cybersecurity who spread cyber awareness in their area. There are multiple sessions that are conducted around the world now. There are, I know particularly so many different organizations with whom we collab, and we also do cyber awareness where we take sessions worth 6 hours, 8 hours, and we discuss each and every point. We discuss real case studies. So definitely more and more people should join these organizations to understand what rights do they have, and how can they be more safe on the digital crimes that are taking place. And I think that's my point in this case.
Let me add good insights Harsh has shared. I would add कि believe your female family member. Whenever a situation arises, don't कि भाई go into judgments. Believe in her. Like I'm giving analogy of ये old customs के भाई any problem happens कि भाई old customs क्या होता है कि भाई women marriage में जैसे कि भाई you have to keep that marriage intact. कुछ भी हो रहा है, I won't listen. You go and safeguard and do steps to protect your marriage. Whatever comes, कि अपना ये so in same thing when a cyber crime is committed, listen to her. What happened? Be with her till the justice comes to her because this, if you are not there, she will be all alone and that girl can go into depression. जैसा कि I can give another example of rape. When you're not believing, उसके लिए आपके पास नहीं आ रही है. That trust factor is missing in the family. As you said, cyber sati, that friend first should come up. That in the family system. So that female members can come up and have that healthy discussion or come up कि हाँ भाई, I have been a victim. Now, how can we go ahead and solve this and instill in her that Devi? Because each woman has that Devi in her. This is my personal.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
So just to every woman, everyone listening to this, it's not a very big deal if you are a victim of a cyber crime. It's a part of what the era in which we are living right now. Everyone is a part of a cyber crime once. In fact, each and every one of us in the panel, in this panel, some at one point of time they were also at a verge of a certain. There was something that they were also about to get hacked, but we didn't because we had the right knowledge, and we were aware of our actions more. So you can also be one of them. And if you are a part of a cybercrime, if you are a victim, it could be anything, uh, even if it's a financial fraud, or if someone is harassing you, or if you're a part of a social engineering attack, or any kind of online scam, anything. Don't be afraid at that point. You should come up and you should speak for yourself. That is more important, because if you speak up, there are more people behind you who are looking forward to you, and they would also come forward. It is important that everyone comes up and speak. Only then the scammers and these hackers would, they're right now so much advanced. They're not advanced because they have better technology. They are more advanced because we are the people who are not speaking up against them. So they keep on committing fraud. That's where the common people, everyone needs to be more aware of the rights that they have and should speak up for themselves. It is not a big deal if you are a victim of a cyber crime. It's a part of the era in which we are living, and you would be safe only if you speak up for yourself.
So only one thing to add
Yeah.
before ma'am say, from the legal perspective or from the statutory perspective, what what I said earlier about Information Technology Act and what I want to reiterate is like you can increase the punishments severely to increase the deterrence, because right now that deterrence is not there. That will definitely strengthen the digital rights of a woman, because right now people are not thinking twice before committing any crime. May it be sharing obscenity, may it be a violation of privacy of a woman. If you increase the punishments to an extent and implement the law properly, I think that will cause a deterrent effect and it will reduce the crime rate to another level.
So, ma'am, your final words.
And I'll try and keep it as brief as possible. See, Jolly, when I batted the question off to the men, I didn't do it just, casually. I did it
I
for a
know.
purpose. When you
I
look
know.
at the legal system, when you look at systems itself today, you look at the tech industry, we talk about diversity and inclusivity. But
Right.
reality is the majority are men, right? So it's critical for the men in the system to understand what the rights of women are and to ensure that they not only refrain from violating those rights, but also ensure that they are instrumental in protecting rights. That's the reason why I wanted to hear the men first, and thank you all for very valuable input from each of you. So here is my input in terms of digital rights and women. It may seem a little contrarian to what I said earlier. See, me being safe is a different issue, but you not keeping me safe is not okay. And that's the angle I wanted to address this question from. A girl goes to a police station and she is giving a complaint about a morphed naked imagery of hers being circulated. And the first question she hears is, "Are you sure it is not yours? ये आप नहीं है आपको पक्का पता है?" You know what Rajas also shared earlier about the multiple recordings that happened. You know, here it is in a dentist's restroom. What if it is in, maybe let's say, the restroom in a bar? आप बार क्यों गए? लड़कियों को तो ऐसे जगह पे जाना नहीं चाहिए, right? So there is a value judgment, there is an immediate resistance at the very first level to what the girl has moved forward on, right? So that perspective needs to change. You really want to talk about digital rights for women. Women are capable of protecting their rights and fighting for it. We have many what we call cyber champions who stand up for rights, and we ensure that there is a platform for protecting our rights, and where it is violated, we are also there donning our legal hats in terms of protecting the rights of victims. But that's not enough. A mindset change, Harsh spoke about social engineering. Social engineering is not a malaise from the online platform stage. It is from decades back. Each of us are brought up. So when we talk about a police station, I did not just talk about a male police asking those questions. It could be a woman police asking those questions too. And that's where social engineering plays a role. So when we talk about digital rights, I personally feel it is not for women to protect their rights or to develop them or to ensure them. We will do it, but that's not it. What is material is every single person should work towards that, and it starts at home. It starts from when we are born till our last stage, right? Each of us has to work for it. I know it may sound utopian, but this is something that's doable. The one aspect of what Cyber Sati did is Lokapriya Cyber Sati. So, one of the first pilot projects we did was in a Rajasthan village at this place called Tonk, if I'm not mistaken. So we were talking to the people. They're very forthcoming, very friendly. But the first time they shared freely was about how, नहीं नहीं आप फिक्र मत कीजिए, हमारे लड़कियों बिल्कुल सुरक्षित है. क्यों? क्योंकि हम तो उनके पास तो मोबाइल नहीं देते हैं. तो आई आस्क देम, लड़कों के पास मोबाइल है क्या? हाँ, उनके पास है, क्यों नहीं? देन लड़कियों के पास क्यों नहीं देते? क्योंकि वो लोग फिर लड़कों से चैट करेंगे और फिर उनके साथ भाग जाएंगे। ऐसे तो फिर आप लोग लड़कियों के पास क्यों मोबाइल नहीं देते और लड़के से निकाल दीजिए, उनको मोबाइल मत दो? ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है? You know, that's social engineering for you. So we have to start thinking differently in terms of rights of women itself, definitely in terms of digital rights of women. So merely because I said women have to be careful, they have to look out for dark alleys, does not mean that I'm asking them to stay at home and stay safe, asking them to stay away from online spaces and stay safe. I'm just saying be cautious. By all means explore, but do so cautiously.
And
Very rightly summarized, ma'am. Yes, please,
just to
sir.
add to what Ma'am said, I 100% agree. And being a father to a daughter, I can vouch for the next statement that girls are 1,000% more attentive, more careful in spreading or doing all these activities than boys. I think boys are more careless when it comes to having a mobile phone, sharing out information, and doing the activities which we talked for. So I think talking about your example, it makes more sense to give mobile phones to girls rather than the boys.
Absolutely, and very brilliantly summarized, ma'am. And actually, Amir sir, let me just tell you, we are calling our panelists the esteemed panelists because they just answered our next question and also like summarized our whole discussion for the day, about like giving out a message on the occasion of International Women's Day that is going to come soon on 8th of March. So thank you so much. And it was a great conclusion to the entire session that we have had today. And over to you, Amit sir. Please address our panelists and let's conclude.
Yeah. So thank you, panelists. We had a lovely conversation with all of you all contributing. With this topic needs a lot of what do you say, knowledge sharings. We have to reach out. So all of you all doing good works in their spaces. Yes, women are more attentive than us men. I'm just also accepting. Yes, we are being careless. So see, the Coffee Corner show is all about education, empowering, and having those conversation where it will empower all, not only women and men, because this, as you have all shared during the conversation, it's all about awareness. But as the digital world is moving fast, awareness and action can keep us secure. So thank you for all your sharings. So many government initiatives also have come up, but this needs a karma. So you all doing, and this is Coffee Conversation ka today's panel discussion. Protect, prevent, and empower navigating the digital age will help all those listeners out there how we can navigate. But because technology को हमें को use करना है, but how to use it effectively and protectively is this panel discussion all about. So stay tuned to all our panel discussions and subscribe to the channel because there are a lot of coffee speakers who have contributed in their journey and they are continuing with us being part of the coffee tribe. So thank you once again. Subhash, take us all in one frame. So from Dil Se, thank you to everyone for taking this time and sharing your insights and this topic because में जितना अपन बात करेंगे it is very little. We need because यहाँ से मुझे कितना सारा सीखने मिल गया है. Everyone is doing like Harsh was saying Abdul sessions, मैम के साइबर साथी, sir is contributing so many things. He has got a daughter, so उसको यहाँ से he must be taking so much insights. So yes, so these all insights will take it forward to creating reels and all those things. So thank you for this ये panel discussion में and thank you to Jolly for ये conducting beautifully in spite of little hurdles जो हो गया, but you managed it with a smiling face. This is what the team coffee conversation comes and does the things. So, Rajas, whenever you're in Mumbai, let's all meet together at
Absolutely.
one location, because we continue conversation, and if Jolly can also join in, so it will be in one frame. And ma'am, I will be meeting you for the book,
Look
and
forward.
Harsh will
Thank you so
go
much.
and meet ma'am.
Definitely, sir.
Yeah. So thank you. So stay tuned and look forward to more actions, not only for Women's Day, but there are also other days where we keep continuing celebration. So coffee is all about celebrations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining. It was a pleasure having this conversation with you all. It was indeed a very uh, gratitude, and a lot of gratitude is there for all of you, and it was an absolute pleasure having the opportunity to interact with you. So thank you, Amir sir, actually, for giving this golden opportunity actually. So thank you so much everyone,
Uh,
and
just a
apologies
just a
ma'am for
quick
the
follow.
little.
Not at all. With a
Yeah.
name like this, it happens, but I was surprised it
I
happened
know,
after you
ma'am,
left.
how you took my, so that's why. That's why I say,
But you
ma'am.
really, I was impressed. Yeah, you came so thoroughly prepared. You didn't even need that one prompt or correction when we met, you know. So
Yeah,
I really
ma'am.
appreciate that
मैं
effort.
मुझे
Yeah,
चाहिए
thank
ना,
you so much.
so then, so I'm sorry that I didn't give to Jolly by to be particular about, because I know when someone is very particular about name, so I then take be in alertness and awareness, like how cyber crimes के लिए you have to be in alert and awareness. Yeah, Rajas ji, tell me.
Yeah,
No,
if
no.
everyone could share their contact information with their consent,
Yes,
I
Yeah, yeah,
please.
think
yeah.
that
Absolutely.
would be
We'll
Definitely.
do that. We'll do that, and
If you
we'll be
could
in the
connect all
captions
the
also.
panelists in one mail, it's a
yes,
pleasure
please.
having met all of you all virtually. I look forward to interacting
Yeah,
further.
yeah, yeah. So
Yes.
this is what
And
coffee.
we look forward to learning from you, ma'am.
Not at
So
all,
I
not
think
at all.
So
Look
मैम
forward
की
to
न्यू बुक भी
that.
आने वाली है. So that time we'll go and cover ये है. Ma'am, a promise to you, when your new
Done.
book comes in, we will do the what do you say,
Practicals.
coverage of that book, have a
Look
discussion.
forward. Yes.
So and that I said, Harsh ne bhi jo he gives a surprise during the conversation. ये he said I want to show about his ethical Wi-Fi hacking. So that was very superb thing he did, and we have. So all coffee speakers give us that memories.
Yeah.
So which are for a lifetime. One of my coffee speakers said, "Bhai, these memories are for 100 years."
Yes.
I got to. मैं एक साल की बात करता हूँ, 5 साल, 10 साल. She
In
said,
this
"हाँ."
digital world, we don't know how long we are going to be around. And this is like the message in a bottle. You never know
Yeah.
when, how long it's going to float around and be available.
yes.
Yeah.
So
I'm
yes,
sure.
we meet in person. That is for sure.
Yes. Look forward. And all of you all do be in touch. Hmm?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Sure,
Thank
That
ma'am.
you.
happen. We'll make that happen. Don't worry. Huh?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.